We took it all. We brought them to our land. An endless night, ember hot and icy cold. The rage of the earth. We made this curse. Carved it in the blood on our backs. We did not see. We could not, but she did. And in the end...
What will I become?
Senua's Saga. Hellblade 2.
Play it now with Game Pass.
Drink it in, drink it in, drink it in, man.
It is picked up by the line. Darius Slay's got it. Coming back right side 25. Picks up a block at the 30. Darius at the 40.
Drink it in, drink it in. Drink it in, drink it in, drink it in, man.
Rolls to the right. Stafford throws deep. Got a man out there. End zone. Caught. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Marvin Jones.
Drink it in, drink it in.
Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Cornbread.
Drink it in, drink it in, drink it in, man.
Detroit Koolaid, what is going on, everybody? We are back. Grifka is in the building. Grifka, what's going on, buddy? How are you today?
Oh, man, doing good. I'm just enjoying the summer sun before training camp here in a few weeks.
Yeah, man, I was telling people the other day, we are basically under a month until camps get rolling. I think I saw a promo the other day, NFL Network's doing their live from training camp. July 22, man, that is crazy. That's only 3-4 weeks away. The people got to be jacked about that. So, Grifka, I'm jacked about this show, man. We got a couple things off the top, but then I was fortunate enough I connected with Logan Lamorandier, man, of Lion Lowdown this past weekend. We recorded an interview that we're going to roll for the people today. So, thought we'd just hit some quick news items and then throw to that. What do you think? Does that work for you? Get you off easy today?
Yeah, that works.
Grifka, your boy, big play Slay, all over the news. Just randomly shows up to some dude's grad party. Kid said he hung out for over 3 hours playing games, eating all their food. I mean, you've got to have a take on this. This is your guy. I mean, you shook his hand in person. I mean, you knew he's going to be great from day one. I mean, talk to me about your boy Big Play.
How cool is that? I mean, really, like, just how cool is that? I wonder if he went to go grab something or somebody went to go ask him something, he just wagged the finger at him, because that'd be pretty cool. They're like, no. Instead of hey, wag your finger at me. Nobody wants to do that. I mean, you can't. It's got to be unprompted, but that would be, that's always some kid's dream, have just a player like that or some celebrity show up to one of your parties. You always hear oh, so-and-so went to prom with so-and-so. I mean, that's kind of creepy, but anyways, I mean, it is grad party, so I'm sure after hours, like every grad party I went to in high school, there seemed to be an adult beverage hidden somewhere. So I'm sure he left for that so he wouldn't get in trouble. But yeah, that's probably one of the coolest things ever.
Yeah, man, I thought it was good. I mean, here's my counterpoint, though, Grifka. If we had millions and millions of dollars and basically all the time in the world when we had an off season like the NFL, don't you think we'd have some time to do some cool crap too? Like just randomly do funny stuff or show up to charity events or do random things. I feel like life would be a lot easier with millions in the bank.
Yeah, it seems like when I try that crap now, I always get kicked out of weddings and grad parties. Who are you? It's just I saw a bunch of cars. I thought you guys wanted to hang out.
Yeah, that's not going to fly with Grifka showing up. But yeah, man, I thought this was cool. Slay's done this other stuff like this in the past, showing up to basketball games and whatnot. I mean, here's the news nugget out of it. He told the guy, he can have tickets to any Lions game this year, and was talking about giving his evaluation on Hawkinson and a few other players and whatnot. So it still sounds like he's pretty plugged in to the team, and if he's offering a family tickets to the game, I'm pretty sure he's going to be out there playing. So I took that away as maybe this is a little do about nothing, just trying to get a few extra dollars in his pocket before the season gets rolling. But he'll be wearing that 23 and waving that finger when football's ready to roll, man.
Yeah, it's good to hear.
So Grifka, we got that off the top. Now, this isn't going to make the cut for the show, But Frank Ribble left us a voicemail, a long voicemail. And one thing he did in that voicemail is he called you out. He said he sent you some tape, which, again, everybody that knows and listens to the show, Grifka doesn't watch tape, everybody, or he always blames me for going on YouTube. He watches the games. He sits and watches college football, everybody. But Frank Ribble wanted to know if you want to watch the tape that he sent you, because he wanted to know one thing, Grifka, and you want to know what it is?
What's that?
He wanted to know, did you finish your food? Did you finish your food? There you go, Frank. I did that for you, buddy.
Well, yes, I did eat dinner today, so if that's what he's talking about, yes, I did that.
No, Grifka. I think he's talking about the same film I sent you a long time ago, the first time I pulled up and dug into this guy named TJ Hawkinson, because I needed to figure out if we were going to take him high and if he was good at all. And it's a film breakdown where TJ Hawkinson is just putting people in the ground, driving them 10 yards off the ball, putting them absolutely in the dirt, and the guy watching it just keeps yelling, "Finish your food!" It's an incredible video. Everybody's got to go check it out. I'll have to put a link up or something on Twitter.
Okay. I mean, that's our TJ Hawkinson spot. It is sponsored by TJ Hawkinson. Any proceeds go to TJ Hawkinson. Time to move on.
Grifka, are you admitting on the podcast that you blew off Frank Ribble? You didn't watch the video? He's trying to educate you. He's trying to get you up to speed about this tight end that we drafted. That not only can he catch and run, but he can block like a monster. When last show you said, "Oh, he's an average run blocker."
No, I did not watch the TJ Hawkinson highlight video.
Okay, well, go pull it up, and while you're doing it, finish your food.
Okay, I'll make sure I run down to Wendy's to get the $5 grab sack or whatever it's called.
Yeah, you need to. Oh man, great video, Frank. We appreciate the call. Couldn't fit you in on the show today, but I want to bring that up. Give Grifka some grief. The triple G, as I now am phrasing it. So, Grifka, you see any future moves coming up? I mean, it's been real quiet on the front. I mean, Big Mike Roberts was gone. I thought I saw they brought either another corner or a lineman or something to fill that spot. I don't have it up in front of me, but I mean, are we going to make any big shaking moves, or is this our team heading into camp?
Sounds like the only one they're really waiting on, from what I've read on, was the one you brought up, I think last week, was it DeMonte Petco, the defensive tackle that's been around for a while. It sounds like they're just waiting on him. It sounds like from what I've read, it sounds like they have an offer out to him. But I don't know if it's the dollar value that he's looking for. I don't know the whole thing, but it sounds like they're just kind of waiting on him. So either he wants to play or he wants to retire. I'm sure if they can't, if he decides not to, they'll go find somebody else. But it's nobody big or splashy or anything like that.
Yeah, it's been real quiet. I mean, again, I could still see a move in camp, but I think leading up to, you might just see a smaller depth type move like that. But something to keep our eye on. And got two more quick things for jumping to the interview, Grifka. We had a question that we didn't get to in the mailbag. I told this guy I'd get him on and shout him out. So let me hit you up with this. He says, "Hi, this is Keith, a longtime Lions fan in Puerto Rico. I've enjoyed your podcast from here. I need to preface my question to you a bit first, though. The 1995, this is why I throw this to you, Grifka, the 1995 Lions seemed poised to really go somewhere. My hopes were highest for that squad. Every game before the collapse against the Eagles, the Lions seemed to just get more and more awesome. Well, that ended in Philadelphia for sure. The preseason 2019 Lions offer a glimmer of a team that might be at least as good as that squad. Can the 2019 Lions tear across the league? Or am I drinking too much of that Honolulu Blue flavored Super Bowl Kool-Aid?
Huh. Well, I know that 95 team, I know the collapse in Philadelphia really didn't show, but that 95 team had a really good defense. And I mean, this defense has the possibility of being really good. This Lions team definitely has a better quarterback than that 95 team. Gosh. But the 95 team had a better running back. But yeah, this one is capable of that. I've read other things, even like from some of my friends, online, that they still don't have a whole lot of faith in this team. I mean, they obviously don't listen to us, but this has to be one of those things, like we talk about it, where it's to kind of to compare them to like the Bears of last year, where they just kind of get rolling, they get that confidence, and they keep going. They have a couple breaks go their way early. They beat a couple tough teams, and then they get this feeling that they're unstoppable, that they're going to go out there and beat down anybody. I'm sure everybody's going to be like, any player's going to tell you, yeah, we can compete with anybody anytime. But like we've talked about, there's a point in the season where you realize we're just not as good. We're just going to go. We're going to play, get it done. But if breaks go your way early, this team is definitely capable of doing some damage this year.
Grifka, again, Keith, we thank you for he actually texted this to the Detroit Koolaid Cast Listener Line a while back, and I meant to get him on and just got lost in our mailbag. So thanks for reaching out. Thanks for the positive words about the show. Grifka, give Keith one of your grandiose 1995 Lions memories. Either name some random players or talk about a game or a moment you remember in that season, because that's your heyday. That's before my time.
The 95 Lions, wow. The biggest thing was that was like Scott Mitchell's year, and I still hated him, and people were like loving on this guy, and I still hated him. But geez, they just had a great wide receiver core. I mean, we talk about like this Lions wide receiver core is capable, but they had Herman Moore, Johnny Morton, Brett Perriman, they were really good. I mean, Barry Sanders obviously on the team, and he was always a highlight reel unto itself. But Robert Porcher, on the defensive line, he was that guy you kind of love to hate. He'd come up with like a big sack, but then at a key situation, he'd have like an offsides penalty. So he was kind of like that guy. But they were just a team that everybody kind of fell in love with because they really got rolling. But Thanksgiving Day game would be the big one right there. I mean, Scott Mitchell had a big game, wide receivers core. I believe each one had over 100 yards, if I remember correctly. And if I remember correctly, I think they beat the Minnesota Vikings that game.
There you go, Keith. It was a shot in the Wayback Machine for Grifka, reliving some memories. Again, appreciate the question. I think it's unique. You kind of drawing parallels or already calling out this 2019 team. We obviously talk them up here on the show, but they still got a lot to prove. And like you say, we don't want to collapse like that happened after a good season there for the 95 Lions. So Grifka, one more quick thing to do before we jump into our interview. We've been talking about it for a couple weeks, man. Dollars and cents. We kind of dove into this last year. We thought we'd bring it back again this year. What we want to do is starting next week, next Wednesday with our Wednesday night show. We're going to dive into this thing. So me and Grifka thought we'd tackle one side of the ball on each side with each show. So we might grab, corners and wideouts. We might grab tight ends and linebackers. We might take the quarterbacks and the safeties, the kind of those things that go with each other on each side of the ball. We're going to talk about their salaries. We're going to talk about their ages. We're going to talk about where they fit on the roster. We're going to break down future years, see if they're worth keeping, not just in 2019, but for the long haul. What are the Lions building around? How does their cap look? All that type of good stuff. So, Grifka, this means you actually have to do some work, man. You're going to have to pull up some stuff, maybe crunch some numbers. I mean, can you handle this?
Yeah, this is probably one of my favorite things we do. This is one of those things that I know you love it from the GM point of view, but it really does actually like looking at what a player's salary does based on their age, based on what they've done. We can kind of project just like, yes, guy could be a cap casualty next year, this year, 2 years from now, stuff like that. It's I find this very, very interesting.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. And like I say, it'll probably take us a few weeks there. And then before you know it, we'll be finishing that up. And it'll be maybe a week or two before camp. We'll be able to lead up to that. And then we're off and running after that, Grifka, man. Training camp, Lions football, basically like 2 months away if you really cut it. So I can't believe it's that close. It seems like time's flying, but I'm super excited. So looking forward to that. And Grifka, this is one of my favorite parts. This is where I say goodbye to you, and I get to bring in Logan for the interview, man. This is usually where I get about fed up with you. So it's good timing, huh?
Yeah, perfect.
So everybody, like I said, me and Logan, we sat down for probably 30, 40 minutes. We talked about the NFL draft. We talked about OTAs. We asked him if he was the GM, what would he do with Slay and snacks? Man, just got into a bunch of other topics. We could have talked for hours, but always great to have him on, and really enjoyed the time. So, Grifka, before I throw that to Logan, you got anything else for the people?
Nope.
Now, I asked you that because we always do that. Oh, man, I almost broke the Grifka bell. Hold on. You got anything else for the people, Grifka?
Nope.
I did that too because I can't let you make it out of an episode without a Grifka bell. You almost had a clean slate there, but I had to hit you there at the end. So we'll go ahead and turn that over. Everybody, thanks for listening. Check out our sponsors. Catch us back here Friday morning where Grifka is going to be ranting and raving about all types of stuff. I'm sure we'll be arguing, having a bunch of fun. So come back for that. But for now, let's throw it over to my interview with Logan of Lion Lowdown. Check it out.
We took it all. We brought them to our land. An endless night, ember hot and icy cold. The rage of the earth. We made this curse. Carved it in the blood on our backs. We did not see. We could not, but she did. And in the end...
What will I become? Senua's Saga. Hellblade 2.
Play it now with Game Pass.
Detroit Koolaid, we're back, and I'm happy to bring back, man, Logan. Let me try it, Logan. Lamorandier, man, of Lions Lowdown is back in the building. Logan, what's going on, buddy?
You nailed it. I'm good.
I'm two for two, man. Love it. So I think we had you on like right before the draft. We kind of a week or so before. It was awesome to have you on first time, and you kind of gave us your thoughts leading into the draft. And since it's been, haven't talked to you since. I mean, how did you think the draft went down for the Lions? Kind of talk me through some players and just some overall thoughts you had on it.
Yeah. So first off, TJ Hawkinson, first round. It's a player I like, but I do question the position value. Not that you can ever really draft players. You can't draft players because of a position they play. But I think when you take a player at the tight end position in the top 10, and again, it doesn't matter really what the Lions have done in the past. This is a new regime, but I know for a lot of fans, you have Eric Ebron and Pettigrew in the back of your mind, and putting that aside, even it's really tough for a tight end to come into the league and make a big impact right away, especially with a new offensive coordinator and Darryl Bubble. We don't really know exactly how Hawkinson's going to be used, but if you take a guy that high, you have to imagine that they have some big plans for him, and they're going to utilize him correctly and play to his strengths and make sure that's a true scheme fit. We ran into that issue a little bit with Eric Ebron, that for being a top 10 selection, he didn't probably see the field enough or wasn't game planned enough around. He's usually the fourth option in our offense. So I imagine Hawkinson, especially from what the limited amount that we've seen in OTAs, it looked like he was heavily involved with the first team offense, and they showed plenty of highlights of him catching touchdowns. So I think it's, on the receiving end, he should be definitely an upgrade. I mean, it's hard to go down from what we had last year at the position, but I think it's really going to be nice just to have two capable tight ends on the field, including Jesse James now with free agency, that you don't know what they're going to do. If they have two tight ends on the field, it could be a run and they could go smash mouth, but at the same time, you can split Hawkinson out wide or maybe put him in the slot, and he's still athletic enough to create mismatches, and that's what it's all about. If the D goes heavy and they want to try to stop the run, then you can spread him out, put TJ out in the slot, and all of a sudden you have a great mismatch. And I know the 40-yard dash time was only a 4.7 flat for Hawkinson. A lot of fans are questioning his athleticism, but you just look at his agility scores and explosive scores. He has very reliable hands. He's a really, really good athlete. So, overall, it's just one of those things with Hawkinson that you hope that he can break the trend of usually what rookie tight ends do in their first year, because I was hoping for, an instant impact type player. But that's probably long-winded with the first round pick. Do you want me to keep going on, or do you have any input on that?
Yeah, I like your takes a lot. I just want to do one quick follow-up. Did you get lost sort of in the Josh Allen falling, like where you were, it didn't seem like a real need or a fit for Jacksonville. Like I was really caught up in, oh my gosh, we're about to get Josh Allen. This is better than advertised. And Ed Oliver was one of my pre-draft guys. So were you more focused on those guys, or did you feel, because I remember when the pick came up, I almost sort of forgot about TJ, thinking maybe they'll go after one of these defensive studs. And even though I didn't know if Oliver fit, or did you think as the draft fell, you're like, yep, this is going to load up for Hawkinson?
Well, yeah, I think everyone was hoping for that Josh Allen to fall, and looking at a lot of mocks. Josh Allen really wasn't there for Jacksonville in a lot of mocks, but mostly every mock you saw had Jacksonville either go on the offensive side of the ball, or just not D-end. They're already pretty loaded along that defensive line. But I don't blame him for taking, what was the best player available. And then after that, as much as I liked Ed Oliver, I didn't really think he was a great or perfect scheme fit. The Lions actually worked him out as an off-ball linebacker even a little bit. So that was kind of concerning for me, just that they might not like him as much as I did as far as, just his fit in Patricia's scheme. He's a gap shooter. And you look at all the players that, Matt Patricia has along his defensive front. They're guys that can control the line. And, Ed Oliver, he's such a good athlete. You could probably put him anywhere and can succeed. But it's just, I didn't think it was a perfect fit. And Hawkinson didn't really surprise me. But yeah, Josh Allen was my dream. I would have liked Ed Oliver, but I understand why they didn't do it, even though I don't necessarily agree with it, because he would have been my selection if I was choosing in their spot.
Right. Cool, man. We're on the same page there. I've been trying to talk Grifka off the ledge for months. He just hates the pick. He thinks TJ Hawkinson's going to get 200 to 300 yards, maybe a couple touchdowns. I mean, he doesn't see like you said, being multiple, being able to move this guy around. He can catch, he can block. So,
and unfortunately, that's kind of what rookie tight ends do. I mean, rookie tight ends rarely make a big impact right away. Outside of Rob Gronkowski, that's the scary part. Is you want someone who's going to come in right away and just tear it up, and that's just not historically. That's not what tight ends do.
Right, but don't give Grifka fuel to his fire, because that's the only reason he's saying it. Is because for the last 10 years, Oakley, this is what happened, and like my counterpoint is you take each player at their value and at their situation. Like Dustin Keller isn't TJ Hawkinson. It's a whole different team, different situation. So, historically, yes, but I think this guy can break the mold on this team right now. So, like I said, you did a deep dive there. How about just maybe highlight a few of the other players that you either liked or didn't like as the draft process went through? I mean, quite a few other interesting picks by our Lions.
Yeah, Jelani Tavai, I think, caught everyone a little off guard. After the pick was selected, it made a lot of sense. Just, the Lions do have a very specific type when it comes to linebacker. They want someone who's big, can play on the edge, I think a lot of times it just comes down to size. That's what you kept hear Bob Quinn saying after they drafted Tavai, was just talking about his arm length. And, he said he kept calling him thick, a thick guy. So, I mean, it makes sense. It's not, again, not trying to rip on the Lions. They know more than I do when it comes to who they're looking, but I wasn't a big fan of the pick just because of his athletic ability. For a guy taking that high, you'd hope he'd be a little bit more athletic, and he didn't really test all that great. He was coming off a shoulder injury and had a private workout, and he did okay. But, if the Lions know how to use him, that Matt Patricia knows what he wants in a defense, and again, they know more than I do with what they're looking for. So I just have to hope and realize that they know exactly what they want. And even though it might not fit with exactly what I was hoping for, they know better than I do. And that's really, you got to put your faith in Bob Quinn in this one.
Let me go counterpoint on Tavai real quick. Since he was drafted, you go and watch him a little bit more. When I watched, tape on him and whatnot, I think he's a real natural mover. He always seemed to just really find the football. Pretty aggressive player too, which excites me as a fan to sort of have another linebacker that can both play the middle, the outside, can even rush the passer. So I liked what I saw. It just seemed like, had some decent instincts for his production. Lots of tackles for loss, lots of other things. So I like that about him.
For sure. And he did. He put up a lot of great numbers while at Hawaii, and he's definitely very versatile. Even watching film though on him, I didn't come away super impressed. Like, oh, this guy's going to be the next great linebacker. But if the Lions put him in the right spot, it's a scheme fit. And if he fits their scheme and he can do multiple things, then it's a good pick for him. But, I wonder if he's going to be able to make an instant impact. I just wanted players that were going to come in and help right away. I don't know if he'll crack the starting lineup right away, which, you can't always expect for a second round pick, but at least contribute. So, that's what I'm really hoping for, is just that he can come in, he has a role on the team, and can just grow and develop. And Patricia has historically done very well with linebackers.
they said he's looked real natural, kind of like a guy that just comes out on the field and looks like he fits in, since they've taken him in OTAs, obviously that shirts and shorts type of thing. But
he's
a
very
know.
fluid guy. He can move well. He's just not fast, he's not like Jared Davis, who sees the ball carrier and is just a missile. He plays it a little bit different style, which might be good, having, a little bit of thunder and lightning, I guess you can call it.
Yeah. I'm much more excited to see him than I was, when the pick was read off. I think it could be a nice fit for the team, as well as a guy that, has things that we don't have, like you say, and we're adding to this too deep type of depth that we're looking for, where you don't just say, oh, we're good, we got Jared Davis. You need to add that depth. So even if he doesn't start or make a huge impact, if he's a real solid football player at the linebacker position, I'd be happy.
Right, and Bob Quinn said it himself, too, that he's a player that you just don't often come across. They're difficult to find in the draft. And, is like a Devin Bush or a Mac Wilson type who actually fell quite a bit in the draft. Those aren't guys that necessarily fit the scheme. And we just kind of have to – we should know that by now, that Bob Quinn has a very specific type. Matt Patricia has a very specific type, and they're going to draft guys that fit their defense.
Yeah, man, I agree with you. Give me two more names out of the other picks that you both liked or that you think could make an impact on this football team. Yeah,
so Amani Aruarie, he was a guy that I would have been fine with him in the second round. Now, obviously, how far he slid, there was some concerns about him. I know he did miss a lot of tackles. Well, he had, I think, 9 missed tackles compared to Greedy Williams' 4 last year, but you can just tell he's a little bit more aggressive and will stick his nose, and try to get ball carriers, where Greedy Williams just didn't even show effort at times trying to tackle. So I really liked his size and measurables. He looks the part, and the Lions are in need of a outside corner opposite of Darius Slay. And then another one I'll touch on, Will Harris, an interesting pick, but I think it works well just because the Lions play so many 3 safety sets, and he's a guy who can play in the slot and cover, the larger tight ends, and he's still athletic enough to even cover receivers if need be. I would have liked to see a little bit more like playmaking abilities from him at the college level, but I think, again, he fits the scheme really well, and he has at least the upside or the potential you can see is there with him.
Yeah, man. Logan, this is why we bring you on the show, because those are probably the 2 names, as well as Travis Fulgham, who I really think interest me to watch them on the field, see what they can do, see how they fit on the team. Now, the thing I'll say is you did excellent pronouncing Amani's name, but here on the Koolaid Cast, we call him A.O. Oh, baby, from And One Mixtapes. Shout out back in the day.
That's right.
I don't know if
A.O.
but,
I can live it. I like that, yeah.
Much easier to say as long as you can throw the "oh baby" at the end. But yeah, man, I really like your takes. I know we got limited time, so let's keep it moving. Overall, with the draft, what would you say? Maybe give it an overall Logan grade or a thought. Thumbs up, down, A, B, C, D. What do you think?
I was very lukewarm on it, and again, it's just coming from my perspective of where I would have liked to see other players taken. But again, it just goes back to I'm not Bob Quinn. I don't know exactly what these players, what they said off the scenes, kind of, and how they did in interviews and how the Lions brass and personnel sees them fitting in the scheme. I'm not privy to that information. I can only see, what I see on film and how good of a football player they look. And I try to align them with what the Lions are looking for, but that's difficult to do. So I think overall I graded it like a slightly below average draft grade, but that's kind of been Bob Quinn. Every year he has a draft, I'm always kind of lukewarm on it. And then he's actually done fairly well. He hasn't had any Pro Bowlers or anything like that. He hasn't had any like really studs. I mean, he's had a lot of good players, and they've been really solid players from the rookie year, and then they kind of stayed that way. So I'm looking for more progression out of his most recent draft classes. But yeah, this year I can definitely see, after the picks are made and you do your homework on them, you're like, oh, I see where they were going and why they did that. It's just, only time will tell.
Yeah, we're definitely looking forward to seeing him on the field and whatnot. Logan, we'll have to get you next year you might have it already, but we do a thing where we actually record our picks as the draft goes in real time, who was on there. Like you say, we're not privy to all the medicals, but my draft would have been Ed Oliver, Lane out of Michigan State, Ben Powers, Mac Wilson, a coverage linebacker, Travion Williams at running back, who I love. Then I picked up Dax Raymond at tight end. He's kind of best available at that point. I went with another Boston College safety, but Lucas Dennis there late, Jalen Jelks, and then I got Penny Hart as my little receiver.
Oh, nice.
In late round 7 there. So that would have been the Okrie draft had I been the GM, with no medicals, no workouts, no nothing. So always interesting to see who we would pick with the info we have. But,
so I do something similar to that with my draft grades. I always have my personal selection after each one. And I think I would have chosen Ed Oliver and then Greedy Williams. I know he had some concerns, but in the second round, I thought he would have been good value, especially when we had such a need at that second corner. And then I want to say I went Max Crosby. I really liked him out of Eastern Michigan. In the third, in the fourth, Foster Moreau. Okay. And then I can't remember who I went after that, but
right. That's why we write them down now, because I got Grifka telling me he would have taken all these Pro Bowlers when he's got no idea what he's doing. So
that's part of the fun.
We write them down.
Hear people saying I knew the Lions should have taken him, but it's like there weren't too many people that were chanting, pounding on the table for Aaron Donald when we took Ebron. But everyone is like, we knew we should have picked Aaron Donald.
Exactly. I got picks back to 07, 08, man, when we kind of started this. So I'll have to share this with you sometime.
That's awesome.
You can see my, like you say, it's like everybody says, you hit, you miss, but it's definitely fun to put your name on it, as they would say. And what's Herm Edwards? That's his line. And see what we would do. So let's move ahead, man. OTAs. You've been kind of keeping up with everything with your huge Twitter following and all that type of stuff. Like anything jump out to you, or just some general thoughts that you've maybe seen since these guys have been out and about?
I think OTAs, it's really one of those things where, every year there's going to be those camp superstars and we fall in love with certain players. And I know Tease Tabor had a nice, mini camp, but he had a nice mini camp last year too. And then it didn't really translate to game day. So I really take with a grain of salt everything I read or I see, just because it is, like you said, it's not real football. It's nice that players are stepping up and doing well, especially Tease Tabor, because it'd be huge if he could just all of a sudden things start clicking for him, because he is a playmaker. We just haven't seen it yet. But, and then just the offensive line, it looks like they're going to stick Ragnow at center and move Glasgow over to left guard, or right guard, and then Kenny Wiggins right now appears to be the incumbent at left guard. So that's kind of a good switch up. We'll see what happens there with Darrell Bevel. I imagine he probably had some say in that. It was just what fits his scheme the best. And then, we have all these receivers. I think, we're going to have that fifth receiving spot it's going to come down to a few players.
Yeah, I'm with you. Let it play out once we get the pads on at camp. That'll really tell. The big thing in the OTAs, man, everybody's been talking about it. I'm really interested on your take. Well, what's your thoughts on Big Play Slay and Snacks? Not showing up, kind of being on Twitter. Like, where are you at with all this half drama they got going on? Or is it all just, a bunch of nothing and they'll be there at camp day one?
I would imagine they'd be there at camp. It really depends how firm they are. It's just, for me, it's tough when they have 2 years left on a deal, especially with Darius Slay when he signed the deal a few years ago. It's just common knowledge that as you sign these long-term contracts that, yes, have a lot of money, as you go on, the salary cap increases and there's going to be new guys that are going to be getting paid more than you. And,
right.
Slay, he had for his standards, a down year last year. It wasn't a great year. And, I love Big Play Slay. I definitely want him around. And if he's really has to have a new contract, then maybe the Lions, will have to give in and give him one. But with 2 years left on his deal, that's really tough for me. If I were in Bob Quinn's shoes, I'd be, I don't know if I'd give him a new deal this year. Next year we'd make it up. You're like, yeah, we're on the last year of the contract. Let's get something working. But we can't be without him either. If he really sticks to his guns and he sits out, maybe you just got to find something to work. But I wouldn't want to give him another long-term extension when he already has 2 years left. And I want to say he's going to be, closing in on 30 at the end of his 2 years, which, it can be tough for a cornerback. Sometimes we saw it with Glover Quinn where those DBs all of a sudden lose a step and they're just not what they used to be. So I understand where both sides are coming from. I want to see Darius Slay, be a lifetime Lion. But at this point, with 2 years left on his deal, I don't know if I'd be just willing to, fork out the money that he's asking with 2 years left. And it's kind of the same with Snacks. You look at what he provides, and yeah, he's a huge boost in our run stopping. I mean, our defense did a complete 180 after he was injected in the lineup. But again, with 2 years left on his deal, and he's getting up there in age, he's going to be 32 by the end of his 2 years that we have still under contract for him. I don't think, his MO is just being big in size. I don't think you're necessarily going to lose that at age 32. But if you give these guys, another big extension, we might end up like that Glover Quinn situation where we have another year or two left on a contract and they're not living up to it. So it's just in a really tough spot because they do have some leverage, but I think the Lions have more leverage considering that both these guys are under contract for 2 more years and they're already being paid, a pretty sizable amount. They're both still, I know Slay's top 15 right now for as far as cornerbacks get paid, and Snacks, the guys who are making true money, the big money out there, also the pass rushers as well. So it's just, I can go see both sides of the situation, but both of them, I think, they're going to have to wait another year before I'd extend them.
Yeah, I think that your point about the 2 years is really where they got to focus. I mean, isn't it the Steelers that have basically a unwritten rule? They don't redo your deal any more than a year out, right? And they just stick to that. So it's like everybody says that's the general rule, but there are teams that really use that almost like a hard and fast. Don't even bother us with it. I mean, my only thing is that the Lions still got the 20-some million just sitting there doing nothing. So, I mean, I'm not trying to spend money for no reason, but you're not right up against the cap. So when you tell these players, like, you don't want to do anything, they're not stupid. Their agents know you got the money sitting there. They both know they're real integral to our defense. So they sort of have us, the Lions over a barrel, and the Lions can sit there and say, like, hey, in the NFL, like you said, again, about this cap, like these guys sign these deals to make them really high paid players, and 3 years later they're middle of the pack. It's like, that's the name of the game, go and play 2 more good years and they'll take care of you. But and they're both not like 25, so I'm stuck on it a little bit too. I think if anything, I would think maybe Slay could recognize that and come back in. I think since Snacks got here via trade and he was so impactful for our defense, if you want to slide him a little increase, maybe not extend the years as much as kind of give him an uptick just to make him happy, I'd consider that, because we need the big fella in the middle. There's no like, hey, PJ Williams, you're next man up, or Pekka, we'll get you in here. Like he's got to be there.
We got to have both guys here, and you'd like to have them happy. And again, being from the fan perspective, we don't know necessarily what exactly they're asking for either. If they both want like long-term extensions, that's really tough to give out with 2 years left on a deal. Now, if they just want to raise, we do have some cap flexibility this year, but even when we don't, what we don't use this year still gets converted over to next year's cap and gives us more space there. And then we also, it's just, you got to know what they're asking for. I don't know what they want exactly. I don't know if Slay's looking for like another 5-year extension or something like that, which I don't imagine he is. Yeah. He just wants a little bit more money, and it's a couple million more a year. Maybe just toss it his way to make him happy. And, you want your players happy too. That's something we always forget about, that when players aren't happy, they might not always play as well. And, the Lions with this whole Calvin Johnson saga, the Lions aren't looked in the most positive of light right now when it comes to, just is it a player-friendly team or not?
Yeah, I guess so. We'll keep this moving, but I think the Lions too are fine to, but there are teams in the NFL that are hardline type owners that, it's not like you run every player off, but you also don't just sit there and every time somebody barks, you give them some extra dose. So I think the Lions, can be kind of in the middle or also on the hard end side and still make it work. So we'll see what happens with those two guys.
I'm all for making it work with both those guys. Don't get me wrong. It's like, I want them here, but at the same time, they have to understand they still have 2 years left on big deals that they sign. And that's just the nature of the game, really. Sometimes that happens. And it's very rare to see, someone get a new deal with 2 years left outside of the quarterback situations.
Yeah. Let me get your take on this offense. Darrell Bevell in here, everybody kind of saying, as you hinted at earlier, nobody really knows what the Lions are going to be. Are we going to be smash mouth run? Are we going to run 2 tights? Are we going to run 3 tights? Are we going to stretch it with a healthy Matt Stafford? Like, where are you at on this offense in 2019, and are you excited about it?
I am. I think I mentioned it earlier, just about having 2 tight ends in the field is not going to tip your hat either way. You can go, it can be a pass or it can be a run, and they're both very good run blocking tight ends. And then they're also very capable in the passing game. So I like that element that you're not going to tip your hand. If you had Ebron out in the field when we had him, it's like, all right, we're not going to have to worry about him, blocking a linebacker. The linebacker will probably be able to get away and make a tackle. So it is nice. I think Bevell has a good mix, at least of what he's done in the past, of taking some deep shots as well as creating that ground and pound attack, and then using, once the defense starts, coming in and playing up to stop the run, you take your shots. And I like that. And I think that plays very well with what the Lions want to do and Matt Patricia's game plan of just being able to control the clock, keeping the defense off the field. It's a different type of style that you're seeing in the NFL right now, and it's going against the grain, which is sometimes concerning, but you saw what Seattle did a couple years ago, and they were a defensive heavy team. And it still comes down to, in the National Football League, to win championships, you still have to be able to run the ball and stop the run. And I think that's what the Lions are really going after. So I don't mind it. I'm very excited to see what this offensive has. I'm very excited to see Matthew Stafford in this offense. And if he could actually have a legit running game, it'll be interesting to see as well. We didn't really replace TJ Lang with any big name or big draft pick or anything like that. So when he was out last year, our running game floundered, and that was also coupled with Kerryon Johnson going down. But yeah, Kerryon's got to stay healthy. That's going to be huge. And there's guys like C.J. Anderson. I don't know what exactly he's going to be, if he's going to be the Rams version of last year or the Panthers version. So it's just, there's a lot of question marks right now, and I'm obviously hoping that they all pan out and they're highly successful, but it does, create a little bit of worry inside.
Yeah, I'm with you on all that. I'm just really excited to see. Never in my lifetime as a Lions fan have I come into a year thinking that we have the opportunity to have kind of a high-end ground game, and really not just even a ground game like back in the Barry days, but a ground game that's hit you in the mouth and can score touchdowns and move it, inside short yardage, stuff like that. So I'm excited for that. I think the NFL, they always talk about these tight ends, but I think you hit it on the head. Like, when you put TJ and Jesse James in there, good luck guessing what we're going to do. And that's really what you want to do as an offense. You want to keep people on their toes. And the only reason Matt Stafford has been dinking and dunking is because he hasn't been able to go play action and have a guy get down the field deep and really chuck it as much as I'd like. So I think that not only be able to hit people in the mouth, but I think we'll be able to really get him guessing where we can hit him over the top. Because when's the last time the Lions had all these open touchdowns like I see other teams? You got Kansas City, people running down the field wide open. The Lions are always these contested jump balls. I'd love to see a scheme up, Kenny Golladay down the middle of the football field, nobody in the pitcher, just get it to him for a touchdown every once in a while. That'd be nice, some easy points.
I agree 100% there. Every time I watch other teams, I'm always just amazed sometimes at how open players are. I'm like, man, you never saw that with Jim Bob Cooter, where guys are just running wide open, especially after Golden Tate left. It was like every catch, every big gain had to be, contested catch was really difficult. Guys had to make amazing plays. I would love to just have that where, we have enough, the defense has to respect that run game enough where we have guys down the field that are not double covered. It's just one-on-one matchups. And
right. And
I agree.
And my thing with Bevell is, this guy has a long track record, of pretty much, decent to high-end success. Like, Jim Bob really had no track record, as a coordinator. So it's always great when you can add another guy that's played in big games, called for big, Super Bowls, stuff like that. That's invaluable to me. So I think that alone is going to help the offense right there. This guy's not out figuring it out as he goes. He's got a proven scheme and is going to execute it, as well as probably throw in some new wrinkles, which would be nice. So Logan, man, I know you got to get out of here. I got one more since Grifka's not here. Grifka's been banging this table about TJ Hawkinson's stats. We already kind of hit on it. I got to pin you down right now. What the heck is TJ Hawkinson going to do from a stat perspective? And then my take, too, is it doesn't matter if we win football games. If he's in there blocking, only catching, 3-4 passes here and there, and we're winning, I'm happy. Like, what kind of numbers you giving this guy for our fantasy football people out there? But what's your predictions of what he'll do when it's all said and done?
Yeah, I think you already mentioned a little bit. A lot of time when he's on the field, he's going to be doing little things that you might not even notice. And, again, he's not going to be tipping our hat of what we're going to be doing or anything like that. So I think that's going to be huge. But from fantasy perspective, we have already Marvin Jones, Kenny Galladay, even Carry-On, maybe Theo Riddick and Jesse James. I mean, there's a lot of targets to go around. So I don't know if he's going to be just the guy year one. He's not going to be a Travis Kelce or anything like that, where he's the focal point of the offense. But I think he'll have some flashes of games where, teams don't respect him enough, and he'll take advantage of it because he's more than capable, and he's not going to be dropping the ball, which is, a big thing for a lot of Lions fans. Want to see someone who's catching. But I envision him having probably around, 40 catches for 600 yards. I'm hoping that he's a red zone target, maybe 6 touchdowns around there. So I'm not going to place these huge expectations on him, but I do think he's going to be more successful than a lot of other first-round tight ends, just due to the fact that I think he's going to see a lot of playing time. So I think he's going to be a clutch guy. You saw that even in college, when they needed big plays at Iowa, he was always seemed to be the one doing it. So I'm not going to get too caught up on the numbers. I know some fans will, that they're like, oh, he's not producing like a first-round pick, and they'll probably already want to throw the bust label on him. But this tight end position, you have to give him time, because he's not going to come in and just, take the league by fire and just completely, change what tight ends have done in the past or anything like that. I think he'll probably follow the trend, but again, he's going to be doing a lot more than what the stat sheet will say he's doing. Yeah.
All right. Well, you're more on the Grifka side of things than me. I think, if Brandon Pettigrew in his first couple of years can catch nearly 80 balls and whatnot, I think that this guy was picked number 8 overall for a reason. I think he's like the perfect type of player, like the guy that Matt Stafford is going to want to not only throw to, but get along well with off the field, not have to deal with his garbage, of his attitude and his frying pan hands. So I think that, on a high end, I threw this guy up in the, 60 to 70 catches, maybe getting in that 700-yard range. And then I put his TDs anywhere from 7 to 10, man. I think that he can really buck the trend a little bit, as well as, like you said, if he has his flashes, you break those numbers down. It's only a few catches a game, average 50 to 70 yards a game, and gets in the end zone more than you'd expect. I mean, that's what I would hope for him. So we'll see what he does. I just want them to use this guy that they took really high, and then not just lump him in with every other tight end. I mean, maybe he's different. Maybe the team has a plan for him, and maybe he can be an impactful weapon, on offense. That's what the other tight ends in the league are, even if it's not year one. I mean, don't sell this guy short moving forward as a impactful guy week in and week out. So,
I will say this too, that he was when we took him, I do think he was the best football player on the board. It's just that tight ends take time, and I think he's going to have a great career, but I'm not going to try to set my expectations too high for him. I just don't want to be let down.
Yeah, that's understandable. But like you say, also have that Detroit Koolaid and think that, hey, man, this guy can, who's saying he can't score 10 times with the way that we hopefully will be much better in the red zone. I'd love to see them focus on this guy and Kenny in the red zone here in 2019. So
that'd be huge.
So, Logan, man, we could talk for days. I know we got to get you out of here. Anything you want to plug, throw out to the Kool-Aid drinkers out there before you head on out? And hopefully we'll have you back here in the future, maybe even on a more consistent basis. So it's always awesome having you on the show.
Yeah, for sure. No, I mean, nothing, lionlowdown.com if you want to find stuff there, or give a follow on social media. L Lamorandier is the Twitter handle. I know that's a long one, but I'm sure it'll probably be tagged.
Yeah.
in the podcast. Yeah. So it's like, you can find me. I love talking football with anyone, and I try to, obviously communicate with as many people as I can, because it's just love talking Lions football. So thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, man. Well, enjoy. We got probably a little under a month even now before we really get cranking. So me and Griffith can't wait to be doing all types of things in season. We're going to enjoy the next few weeks before it gets cranked up. I hope you do the same. And looking forward to having you back on the show, man. Thanks again. All your takes were right on, and much better than Griffith's takes. So appreciate that.
Well, sounds good. Appreciate it. I'll talk to you guys soon.
All right, buddy. Have a good day. Thanks.
Later.
Pack the bag, start the plane. This game is over. It is over. What a comeback by the Lions.
Drink it in, man.